You will die. You know this. What you don't know, what almost nobody stops long enough to ask, is whether the life you're living right now is the one you actually chose, or the one that simply happened to you. Most people never ask that question, not because they don't care, because it's terrifying to answer honestly. This video is people who are ready to answer it. By the end of this video, you are going to have a completely new relationship with your time, not a productivity hack, not a morning routine. I'm going to give you a three-part framework that forces you to look at every single day, every single choice through the lens of the only question that factually matters at the end of life. Was it worth it? We are living in the most distracted era in human history. The average person spends over 6 hours a day on screens, not working, just consuming. 6 hours. That's a quarter of your waking life handed to strangers who engineered apps specifically designed to capture your attention and sell it to advertisers. And here's what makes this dangerous. It doesn't feel like a choice. It feels like relaxation. It feels like you deserve it. But at the end of a long life, very few people look back and say, I wish I had watched more content. Almost everyone, and study after study on deathbed regrets confirms this, says some version of the same thing. I wish I had been more present. I wish I had taken more risks. I wish I had spent more time with people I love. That gap between how we spend our time and how we wish we had is the most expensive gap in a human life. And today, we close it. Here is the lie you were told that is slowly ruining your life. You'll do it when you have more time. More time to start the business. More time to call your parents. More time to get fit. More time to travel. More time to write the book. More time to say the thing you've been meaning to say. But here's what nobody tells you. You are not saving time. Time is not a savings account. Every second that passes is a second permanently spent, whether you chose it or not. The question is never, do I have time? The question is always, what am I buying with the time I already have? Which brings us to the central truth of everything I want to share with you today. You are spending your life right now, not tomorrow, not when you retire, not when the kids are older, or when the project is done, or when you finally feel ready. Right now, in this moment, you are spending the most finite and irreplaceable currency you will ever own. And the question is not whether you are spending it. The question is whether you are spending it on purpose. The time illusion. Why your brain is lying to you about how much time you have. Here is the first pillar, and it's a psychological trap that almost nobody talks about. It's called temporal discounting. Researchers at Princeton University, led by Dr. Samuel McClure, have shown that the human brain is neurologically wired to value the present moment far more than the future. When you choose scrolling over a meaningful conversation, your brain isn't making a moral failure. It's doing exactly what evolution designed it to do. Take the reward that is immediately available. But here's the problem. Your brain was designed for a world where the future was genuinely uncertain. In prehistoric environments, the future was uncertain. So prioritizing the present made sense. Today, for most of us, the future is relatively predictable. We will wake up tomorrow. We will age. The people we love will not be here forever. And the things we keep postponing will eventually become the things we never did. A real world example. Think about the last time you chose watching one more episode over going to bed at a reasonable hour. In the moment, the episode felt more valuable than the sleep. But the next morning, groggy, behind, slightly irritated, you would have easily traded the episode for the sleep. That is temporal discounting in action. And it is happening not just with sleep, but with your relationships, your health, your creative ambitions, and your purpose. 99% of people live as though they have unlimited time. The top 1% live as though every choice costs something, because it does. This is the second and perhaps most uncomfortable pillar. Most people are not spending their lives on the wrong things because they are lazy or weak. They are spending it on the wrong things because they have never clearly defined what the right things are. Dr. Bronnie Ware, a palliative care nurse who spent years working with the dying, documented the most common regrets of people in the final weeks of their lives. Her research, published in her book The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying, found a striking pattern. Almost no one wished they had spent more time on their phone. Almost no one said they wish they had been more cautious, more safe, more conventional. What they regretted was living a life shaped by other people's expectations, parents, culture, employers, social media, rather than their own deepest values. They regretted the unexpressed love, the unlived adventure, the uncreated thing inside them that died with them. Imagine you were handed a blank canvas a very single morning and told, paint anything you want. For most people, instead of painting what is true and beautiful to them, they look over their shoulder at what the person next to them is painting and they copy it. Day after day, year after year, until one day they look at their life and genuinely cannot find themselves inside it. 99% of people let society write their values for them. The top 1% do the uncomfortable, necessary work of figuring out what they actually, specifically, personally want their life to mean. And when you combine temporal discounting with values fog, when you're both biologically wired to avoid the future and living, without a clear sense of what you actually want, you get a very predictable and very costly result, which I need you to understand before I give you the solution. Picture yourself at 83 years old. You're in a Cherbia window. The light is coming through, and someone, maybe a grandchild, maybe a nurse, maybe just your own reflection, asks you, was it a good life? What do you say? Not what you wish you could say. What do you actually say based on the choices you are making right now, this week, this month? That is not a question about whether you made a lot of money. It is not a question about whether you were productive. It is a question about whether the texture of your daily life was aligned with the depth of what you actually valued. It is a question about presence, about love, about the courage to become who you were capable of becoming. And if you can't answer it confidently right now, that discomfort you're feeling is not weakness. That is your conscience telling you that something needs to change. The question is, what do you do about it? But here is the dimension of this problem that most people never consider, and it is the most dangerous one. It is not just your life that is affected by how you spend your time. It is the lives of the people watching you. Your children are not listening to what you say about what matters. They are watching what you do with your hours. Your colleagues are shaped by the energy you bring or don't bring to the work you share. The friend who needed a call and got a text. The partner who needed presence and got a half-distracted, half-scrolling version of you. The way you spend your life does not stay inside your life. It radiates outward. Every deeply lived life gives permission to the people around it to do the same. And every wasted one quietly models that this, the default, the passive, the postponed, is just how it goes. And that is exactly why what I am about to show you change very thing. I call it the Deathbed Audit Method. 3 questions that clarify everything. Here is the idea. You are spending your life right now, and this framework is not about optimizing your calendar. It is about auditing your choices through the only lens that has never failed to produce clarity, your own eventual end. It sounds heavy. What it actually is liberating. Pillar 1. The Eulogy Test. For every major decision, career, relationship, how you spend your evenings, what you say yes to and no to, ask yourself, would this make it into my eulogy? Not in a morbid way, in an honest one. A eulogy is not a list of your job titles and your salary. It is a description of who you were to the people who loved you. It is the story of the things that mattered. If you cannot imagine the choice making it into that story, if it is purely reactive, purely habitual, purely what you were supposed to do, consider whether it deserves the portion of your life it is consuming. Pillar 2, the 10-10-10 audit. Borrowed from Susie Welch's decision-making framework and adapted here for life design. For any recurring pattern in your life, a habit, a relationship, a work environment, a daily ritual, ask, how will I feel about this? In 10 minutes, 10 months, 10 years? This is not about anxiety. It is about pattern recognition. Most of the things that are quietly draining your life feel fine in 10 minutes, feel tolerable in 10 months, and feel devastating in 10 years. The audit makes the invisible visible before the cost is irreversible. Pillar 3. The permission reversal. Most people are waiting for permission to live the life they actually want. Permission from their parents, their culture, their bank account, their fear. This pillar is a single practice. Once a week, write down one thing you have been waiting for permission to do and ask yourself who exactly is in charge of giving that permission. Almost always, the answer is you. The permission reversal is the moment you stop waiting and start authorizing your own life. If you apply this framework consistently, not perfectly, consistently, the gap between how you spend your time and how you wish you had narrows until it almost disappears. And that is when a life stops feeling like something that happened to you and starts feeling like something you built. This is educational, not professional advice. Here is what I want you to do this week, right now if you can. 1. Write your own eulogy in 3 sentences. Not what you want people to say, what they would say right now, based on how you are actually living. The gap between the two is your roadmap. 2. Block 1 hour this week, not to be productive, but to be present. No agenda, just one person, one place, or one experience that genuinely matters to you. 3. List 3 things you have been waiting to do until conditions are perfect, and identify one micro step you can take toward each of them before Friday. 4. Tell one person in your life something you have been meaning to say, not the polished version, the true version. 5. Stop scheduling your life around the things that are urgent and start scheduling it around the things that are important. Urgent things will always fill your calendar if you let them. Important things require a decision. Here is the last thing I want to leave you with. Here is the last thing you are spending your life right now. Every hour is a vote for who you are becoming. Every choice is a small declaration of what you believe matters. You do not have to get it perfect. You do not have to overhaul everything at once. You just study on purpose. You just start spending on purpose because the only life you will regret is the one you let happen to you instead of the one you chose to build. The most expensive thing in the world is a life lived by default. Tell me in the comments, which step are you starting with today? Subscribe